All right. So I'll just start by why are we actually doing a token swap? All right. Well, to understand that, we have to talk a little bit about history, and we got to go back to the birth of Buddy, right? So very quickly, Bunny, the Bunny token contract was the first one that now it feels like I'm like really harping on this, but it legit was the first one that had the features that it has with as far as like the auto liquidity, the auto yield, just all the different stuff that was popular at that time, but weren't combined into one token. So I put them all in one token, coded up the contract in about a day and a half, tested it, everything was working well, and then we launched, and we were trying to make sure that we rode that trend of like the animal tokens and stuff like that. And I'll tell you why. Before that big trend, there was a bit of a DeFi or crypto winter. It just things were not. I mean, it was just really slow. Prices were stale and stuff like that. So there wasn't a huge amount of stuff going on. And then during that time, so I have another project, Colibri. Some of you are in it, some of you are not. It was the first one that really I guess took off or launched or was launched. And then that one kind of just got stale because of the gas fees and stuff that just really messed things up. So in the meantime, I was just working on code, these products to release and whatnot, because that's kind of like what you do when not much is happening in the crypto world. You just build. So we build in winter and we party in summer. So at that moment, it was summer. We leveraged the whole meme nature to really get some exposure for our token, and then kind of I guess caught a lot of people by surprise, because for most folks, they were thinking that it was just another meme token. They were just going to ride it and all that stuff. But a couple days later, we announced the products we were going to release, and then we released it about 2 weeks later. So the idea was always to actually release products to create an ecosystem, to create a long-term project, something that ends up becoming, I mean, I want to say pioneer. I just don't know how far that one goes. I try to be, but just stuff. The whole point of it is to become the general plumbing of crypto and DeFi. Good plumbing, not like black water plumbing or gray water. So like fresh water, right? Suppose we don't want to be covered in. Okay, now I'm getting into the details, but we want to be a utility. That's what I've wanted to do, and there's a whole entire plan for this whole deal. So going back to the token contract, because it was the first one, because it was just new stuff, that was about 8 months ago. I've actually done a lot of token swaps for other projects. And I've seen how it goes. It's not fun. Especially, there was one in particular, we were migrating them from Ethereum over to Binance Smart Chain, literally because of the fees. And I mean, that was just, I felt really bad for the team. My end was just coding up the contracts, making sure everything worked, consulting on what they should do, making sure everything went smooth from a technical perspective. But as far as the customer service and stuff like that, that was something that they handled, and I just felt bad, because in those situations, yeah, F fees or Ether fees are just expensive in general, which is why all these other chains have popped up. So I did the same thing for a bunch of other projects that needed it done. They needed their token upgraded. They wanted to migrate to Binance or whatever chain. And always in my head, I'm just okay, well, that sucks for them. It sucks that they have to do that stuff. I'm glad I can help them, but I'm never going to do that because, just really, I'm not a really big fan of pain. But it ultimately came to that point, right? The token contract, despite having uh, that first mover advantage and all that good stuff. It was the code was getting a little bit old. It was kind of hampering our efforts to do other things with the token. So like for example, the staking pools, right? Even on Binance Smart Chain, the code itself doesn't let you whitelist anybody. I can't like even the owner is not whitelisted from the transaction fees. Like it was done like that on purpose so that there would be no FUD about special treatment of anybody. Like there were no team token allocations. Like I had to go and buy my own tokens. I don't even own the majority of the supply. So like all this was done on purpose to basically say, hey, look, guys, this is what I've got. This is what I plan on building. No shady stuff, that sort of stuff. But we've grown since then, and as an example, whenever we open up a staking pool, like I literally have to calculate and advise the projects that are going to open up a staking pool on our platform and say, okay, well, if you're going to let PBOM stakers or Rocket Bunny stakers, like you have to make sure that the APY is going to account for not just the gas fees, but also the 8% tip, because it's about 4% transaction tax, going in and another 4% coming out, plus any lost yield from
stuff. Hate to interrupt, but somebody needs to mute their microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's kids are going to be all over the recording.
Oh, that might not be something they want. I wish I could mute people. I don't think I can.
By default, when you join, everybody's microphone is on. So everybody check your mic.
Oh my God. That is a terrible feature. So I see one moving here. I think Andrew, if you're listening, if you wanted to kind of mute your mic, that would be good.
Oh.
Okay. I think you got it. Thanks, man. Thanks so much. Okay, cool. So where was I? It was probably good that I got interrupted so that I could realign my brain here. So yeah, opening up these staking pools, for example, like you want people to use the token for something. I mean, that's the whole point of a utility token. But if every time, like I can't whitelist the staking contracts, for example. So like any staking pool, you're gonna get an 8% haircut just because it's a 4% tax, and then to go in, and then 4% to come out. And while that's good for people that are holding, in general, I would like everybody that's holding to stake. I don't want anybody. I don't want like the whole point of this is to encourage more flow of tokens and funds amongst all the projects that we partner with, more exposure for both ourselves and especially the projects that come on board and open up pools with us and stuff like that. So if there's a transaction tax that I can't whitelist, it kind of defeats there's always going to be that group of people, especially large holders, that are just going to say, yeah, no, I'm not going to stake because it's going to cost me this much if I do it. So those sorts of people would never really participate in that, because, and I don't blame them, they would have to pay an 8% fee. So that's just one of the reasons, right? Other stuff is that as I did token swaps for other projects, the fact is that coding, as long as it's like exercise, you keep doing it and you just keep getting better at it. So like the code for this type of contract has just improved over time, and I have started adding or had started adding a lot of improvements and new features, and just general cleaning up of the code in the background, saving some gas savings and stuff like that. And each new project that I would do a token swap for would get these new features. And then in the meantime, we were kind of stuck with the original. So after a while, that started to kind of bother me, because these, not that it's anything that those projects could control, but it was just like, okay, just the fact is that they're getting better code right now. So On top of, all right, so the transaction fees, just the code being better. And then the other major thing was just the very large supply amount. I've said this before and over again, like the supply amount was literally just part of the whole meme. Having this many tokens is really, it's neat, right? But it has caused problems, not just with tracking, but also price calculations. People, buying a billion tokens and thinking that they at least got, a good amount, and turns out it wasn't that much. Like we've seen that happen. So in general, it's just too many, just too many tokens and stuff. And initially the idea is like, well, imagine when they all get burned, like, well, yeah, but most, like, you've still got a lot of people just holding onto their tokens. Those are not going to get burned unless they decide to burn them. So the reducing the supply was a big thing for me as well, and I think for a lot of people. But I think probably the biggest reason for this swap and rebrand really is, as per the title of the Medium posts, Rocket Bunny is just growing. It's growing up. We've always said it's been meme leveraged. So we used that, and right now it's kind of become a hindrance because people don't take the project and its product seriously. And what we're building out here is some serious stuff. We're releasing these products and services that are legit businesses that are generating revenue, and can form the backbone of a lot of different things. But when they see the name, the branding, and stuff like that, unfortunately, people just immediately dismiss it. So I've seen that, and a lot of people have noticed that. The conversation actually came up, about 2 months ago, I think in our main Telegram room. And it's something that I had noticed as well. And honestly, it took me about 2 months to come to the decision about the swap. And so it wasn't like I woke up one day and said, you know what, we're going to do the swap. I mean, that's kind of how it was when I finally decided, but it was like 2 months of thinking about it and figuring out the logistics of it, like how we can make sure that all holders are treated fairly. On that point, for example, a lot of the projects that I've done token swaps for, it's really like, hey, you've got 3 days to swap. That was like the first one. And then generally started advising to do about a week or two. So it's like 2 weeks of pain, and then the thing is that these token swaps deal with tokens with locked liquidity. So you can't just release a new token and airdrop everybody, because then you can't, then it doesn't work that way. Like, just numbers wise, like if there's $1,000 of locked liquidity, you can't just create a new token and then put up $1,000 of liquidity with the new token, airdrop everybody. Well, you just gave away $1,000 because now people have double the amount of money. And while that may sound fantastic from the holder perspective, it doesn't work from the project perspective, because you're just giving money away, and there's no it just, that doesn't make sense. It's you're not funding anything, but
you're not even giving it away to the holders. You're giving it away to the miners.
Yeah, because the gas fees. I mean, the Show Me the Bunny airdrop that I just did. I think there were probably like 80 people that were winners. Maybe it was 50. I don't know, but it wasn't a whole lot of people. So I ended up airdropping everybody RBX instead. I didn't want them to have to pay the gas to swap Bunny. I didn't think that would be fair. So they all got their RBX tokens, and it costs about, it was about $1,200 in gas fees to airdrop about 80 people on Ether. So even if we could pull the liquidity out and just airdrop everybody, I mean, you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars. We've got about like 5,000-6,000 holders. Granted, a lot of them hold small amounts, but like if that was what we were going to do, it would just be an insurmountable amount of money. So that's a good, a good part of the reason that you can't get airdropped on Ether. On the Binance Smart Chain, it's a little bit different because Pocket Bomb was released, I think, a month I think it was like a month after Rocket Bunny. So there were some improvements to the code, and just the general way that it was released. It allows, like, we're able to pull the liquidity and just airdrop everybody. So that, that's different. And also it's still going to cost probably about $1,000 in airdrop fees, because I've done a 7,000 person airdrop on Binance Smart Chain, and it still cost me about $2,500 because it's just a lot of transactions, and each one of them has to go on its own, even if you do it in a batch. So it's still going to be expensive, but I can stomach airdropping that and paying a couple grand. That's okay. And I think in general that'll save a lot of heartache or pain, both on our end and on the user's side. So the biggest, the most exciting part of the branding is just like the new features of the token. It's going to allow us to build things that we couldn't before, or would be just much more difficult to do, specifically like a credit and reputation system. Now, this is information that's already on the blockchain, but the new token it makes this information readily accessible, so we can build products where you can generate like a trust score or even a credit score or something like that, and we can create products that are based off of that, like an increased amount of trust. If you hold the token for over 30 days, for example, we can easily check for that, and then if you've been a holder for that long, then you get access to either a special feature or a private sale or pre-sale, whatever, special staking pools, things like that. So that's going to be a really cool thing to use. And then on top of that, there's no transaction fees, except when you sell. There's a 2% transaction fee, and that's it's called the funding fee. So that's basically just to continue to help fund the project. And so as far as like the automatic yield that people were getting, I'll admit, I think that most people, they thought it was cool, but it wasn't an interactive way to earn money. And that, I know that doesn't make sense, but people in crypto have a tendency to, like, they would come in, they would say, okay, I just bought Rocket Bunny. What do I do now? And we would all just say, no, you just hold it. And they're like, oh, okay, that's great. That's it. You wouldn't hear from them ever again. So you would think that from a holder perspective, that's fantastic. And yes, it is. It's a big innovation. But at that point, when we told that person, like, oh, you just have to hold, and then they say, okay, great, we literally lost an opportunity to have them more engaged with the community and the ecosystem and just everything in general. Because then that person, we could have, like, if they had the stake, we would have been like, okay, yeah, you can stake over here. Then you can also do this, earn interest through the loans, just all sorts of different things. You can use your tokens for this, whatever. So that opportunity is lost. And I think that that's the problem with yield tokens in general. And then just an issue that it's like an opportunity cost that we weren't accounting for. So that's a big thing. But if you're a holder, you're not going to lose out on the yield, because there's the way that the tokenomics have changed. And now I'm going to be putting out a Medium post that hopefully people will read, but I'm pretty sure we'll just have to reiterate the information on Telegram. A part of the supply is going to be used for a staking pool for holders. So like if you hold a certain amount of RBX, you stake your tokens, and then you get more RBX. It's a non-inflationary way to reward everybody. It's part of the same supply, and It's probably only going to be limited for like the first year. And the intention of that is to make sure that most of the supply goes out to holders, that most of it goes out to people that have a long-term or share our long-term vision. And then also in about a year, the assumption is that sufficient amounts of revenue are going to be generated that the staking pool will just kind of self-fund itself. So yeah, I think that's that's in general. I'm not going to say it's in a nutshell because I just said a whole bunch of stuff, but if we were going to go with a TLDR, it's like, better code, more chances to grow, and better branding that is going to really help us. Well, it's going to help us continue to grow. So that's that. Can't think of anything else. So if anybody has any questions or anything specific that maybe I haven't addressed or something like that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
I have one for you, Sycore, if I can.
Sure.
I noticed earlier you'd removed the cheap swap button, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's been removed just so that there's no pending transactions or that nobody's getting hung up over the migration. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the cheap swap button was put up with the best of intentions, but I don't. I think it probably didn't help as much as I thought it would. It was supposed to be an easy way for people to submit a transaction with cheaper gas, but the network's been busy enough that it just wasn't working. And then on top of that, the swap is going to be ending officially tomorrow night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's like the official if you want to be safe. Yeah, that's all I'm saying about that. But I don't want to cause any more pain to John. But but yeah, it was removed because it was just not really helping at all.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I got a question for you guys. How many of you all are from Telegram? Well, actually, how many of you are not in our Telegram group?
Well, I am from Telegram.
All right. You got one. You don't have to tell me your usernames. That wasn't what I was getting at. I was just curious how many people jumped in from Telegram versus the Facebook group. That was it. Okay, well, I guess everything's pretty clear with everybody then. Nobody has any questions. Seems like Joseph got everything he needed. So I don't mean to pick on him. It's just he keeps popping up and he has a fantastic suit. So yeah, I guess that's it. I could start talking about other things like the different types of ribs that I enjoy, but I don't think that's going to benefit anybody. So we're probably going to be doing a live chat, probably sometime tomorrow night is my guess. During the closeout, and then we're gonna try. No promises on this, but I think we might live stream the listing and the liquidity swapping and stuff, just from a transparency standpoint, and then also because we think it's cool. I mean, the team thinks it's cool. I'm the one that's under microscope the whole time, so for me, it's actually more stressful. But we might at least just stream something while it's happening. I can't promise that I'm going to do a screen share for the whole time because there's sensitive info and whatnot. But there's that. And then, of course, everybody that's here, don't forget to join Shane's Crypto Pulse, which is fantastic every Saturday. It's one of the...
Hey, I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course, man. It's one of the things that I look forward to every Saturday night because it's really fun. So, yeah, that's all I got, guys. Take it easy. If anybody has any questions, please post them in the Facebook page, or join our Telegram, and we'll be more than happy to help.
Thank you, Sycore.
Thanks for your input.
All right, take it easy, guys.
All right, be good.